Okay, so for my project, I want to go over the importance of perspective in films and why they matter. In my opinion, I feel like without perspective in films, they wouldn't have been what they are today because as technology has advanced and improved, so has the perspective within our films, and so has, our representations of scenes and how we view the world and how people feel about the things that are presented to them. So I feel a perspective in films would be the perfect thing to go over within my project. Now, the three shots that I would actually like to go over and critically analyze from films, I have a close-up shot from Beloved. I have a single point perspective from Inception, and then I have a first-person view within Hardcore Henry. Now, with different kinds of perspectives comes different kinds of information. Film will utilize a variety of perspectives in order to help the audience try and understand and contextualize the scene that is presented to them. Without these techniques and perspective, the audience would lose a lot of visual information in order to help them understand what's going on within the scene. And that's why these perspectives are so critical to analyze and understand and their importance of the kind of information they're trying to portray. Now, for the first perspective that I'd actually like to go over, we have two subjects, Setha and Paul D. Setha is, owner of the home that she's currently on, and Paul D is, just now, approaching her. So this is a stranger approaching her house. So we have two perspectives. We have a higher camera angle for Paul D for the stranger at a distance, and we have a close up of a lower camera angle, showing that we're looking up to Setha. She is the owner. She has more power in this situation. So as these two subjects come closer together, we notice that we have more of an eye level because we have these two characters realizing who each other are, and you know realizing that it's been a long time since they've seen each other. So they come in with this close up shot for Paul D. Saying it's 18 years, and they show like his expression and how long it's been and his emotions. So this information gets portrayed over to the audience, and the audience doesn't directly understand the information that's given, but it's like an indirect visual representation of what they should be feeling and seeing within this scene. Actually, one of my favorites for this next scene within Deception, we have a scene that happens before it where the subject is actually upright in the beginning, and we have the entirety of the room rotating around this subject. Our subject is focused directly in the center. As for the second scene again, it's the that single point perspective of the entire room, but then we have our subjects actually going along the walls, the floors, the ceiling, and stuff like that. You know, and this scene that happens before it, the one where the subject is upright and the scene is rotating, that's the scene that gives context to the next one because now we understand that the room is rotating and we have a good visual of what's happening in that scene. And as for this next perspective, I would actually like to discuss how interesting it is for a film to be only in one perspective. And that perspective is a first person view. Not that it has never happened within film because it has, but the restriction of having only this perspective within a film gives the sense of ownership to the protagonist with the audience. The audience feels like they're in the action. They are this person, you know. And within other films, it's not like that. You would actually view the protagonist from an outside perspective instead of a first person. So giving ownership to the protagonist, it gives a different kind of emotion when watching this film. I believe we can all understand that, having perspective within films is really important because having visual context within a film is important to, portray information without actually having to say a thing. The audience needs to understand, the story that we're trying to tell. So, without these perspectives or, crucial aspects that we try to emphasize on, then, we wouldn't have a really good understanding of what's happening within scenes of films. So, being creative but also being understanding is crucial to filmmaking. Now, one of the films I would actually like to use in order to further help my research in perspectives would be Kong, because we have a much larger subject in comparison to a much smaller subject. So, showing the contrast between the power of those two would be good with perspective, because, we wouldn't have to physically say it, but we could visually show, the differences between the power of these two and like the vast and size of these creatures in comparison to us. I believe that we can all agree that perspective is important within films. And with the variety of perspectives that we have, we all try to emphasize on key aspects within the film in order to better tell our story. And, us as filmmakers are trying to tell our story as accurately as possible. So, perspective is definitely a key factor in order to create a film.